Hi everyone, welcome to our program The Word for Today. The reading is taken from the book of the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 4, verses 13 to 21, and speaks about counselors' astonishment before the assurance of the Peter and John's of testimony. This text is part of the book of the Acts of the Apostles and speaks about the church in Jerusalem, which resumes gradually its activities after the past events of Jesus' death and resurrection. We read this in the book of the Acts, chapter 1, verse 12 to chapter 5, verse 42. This part of the book of the Acts of the Apostles begins with the reorganization of the group of apostles, since there was a need to choose an apostle to replace Judas. We read this in the book of the Acts, chapter 1, from verse 12 to verse 26, while it ends with Gamaliel's intervention, a doctor of the law respected by the people, in favor of the apostles, so that they might be delivered. We read this in the book of the Acts, chapter 5, from verse 34 to verse 42. We read in this text that Peter and John seem not to be alone. It is obvious that the people are still upset. It remains remarkable that later the man was really healed. Nobody can deny all these past events. The apostles now speak a word that produces new realities. The people were touched by the testimony of the apostles. 1,000 conversions and baptisms. All these events are taking place everywhere and shakes the council. The new reality is shaking the status quo. We read, after threatening them further, they released them, finding no way to punish them, fearing the people who were all praising God for what had happened. We read this in the book of the Acts, chapter 4, verse 21. For us today, this text shows that the council members cannot deny the reality of this man sick since he was born, that has been healed by the apostles. In addition, they cannot deny that this healing has occurred by the power of Jesus' name. This powerful force is alive and active. Nobody can control this new situation anymore. All that they can do is to observe and take some measures. Regarding the authorities, they deliberate and decide to impose threats over the apostles, to defend them, to talk in Jesus' name. Regarding the apostles, they raise up the question about Jesus' death, which occurred by the active influence of the authorities rejecting Jesus and the cornerstone, which brought him to death. But God had decided to build up on the rejected stone that nobody can control. and now is alive in the disciples' life as a free witnesses and believers who grow up here and there. Anyone can lay their hands over them. Amen.